Okay, so this works out using the distributive law, and I don't recommend skipping anything at all because you are making some mistakes. Most of it's right, you know what you're doing, but once in a while something slips in, okay? And we really got to avoid that. Until you've done 20 or 30 of these, don't skip any steps. Okay, then you'll understand what you're doing and you won't be likely to skip steps. Yeah, I mean, you won't be likely to make mistakes even if you do sometimes skip steps. Because these actually work out in a very predictable manner, but you won't understand it until you write it out completely every time, a bunch of times. Okay? So it's this, okay? And I just wrote out the distributive law, and I think you understand that just fine. So now we have 3 times 4 plus 3 times 3i plus 2i times 4 plus 2i times 3i. And that's divided by 4 times 4 plus 4 times 3i minus 3i times 4 minus 3i times 3i. Okay? Now you understand all that.
Right.
You understand how to write out the distributive law, but you weren't doing it at every step. You're close, okay? But you jumped from this step to the next step. You skipped this because you never wrote this out. And here's where you made your mistakes. Okay? Everything else came out fine. Okay? But it's a little confusing when you first do it, and you have to do it one step at a time. Okay, so we have then 12 plus 9i plus 8i plus what? Well, you know, a little confusing on this thing, okay? So we write this as 2 times 3 times I to make sure we understand really very specifically without making any assumptions what this is equal to. Okay? Because here's where I'm seeing repeated mistakes, okay? 16 plus 12i minus 12i. You got all that. You got all this. Okay, over here. Minus 3 times 3 times I times I. Okay? And you make mistakes here. All you gotta do is fix those mistakes and you're off into the races, okay?
Okay.
And you're good. Okay, so that's 12 plus 17i. Now, 2 times 3 is 6. And I times I is I squared, right? Okay? And now we have 16, I'll write plus 0, and the last term we'll leave off the plus 0 because it doesn't do anything, okay? Minus 9 times I squared. Okay? Now we've got 12 plus 17i plus what?
-6.
Right? But you skipped a step. And I don't want you to skip any steps at all. What did you skip?
The 17 plus 12 plus 6.
No, just on the 6 times I squared. You never said what I squared was. You knew it, and you said it right. I don't want you to skip that. Okay? Not this week. Okay? You have to reinforce that I squared is -1, and you have to remember why. Because I is the square root of -1. And you multiply the square root of -1 by the square root of -1, you have to get -1. That's what a square root means. Okay? So now we've got 16 minus what?
9 times -1.
Very good. See, don't skip that. It doesn't take long to get used to it, and then you don't make the mistakes. Okay?
Okay.
I hardly have room to write it, but we'll keep it lined up here. Well, I'm just gonna bring it on up here now. This equals, it's not skipping any steps. It takes a while to write them out, but once you get used to it, it only takes a minute to write all this out, maybe 2. Okay? So if you do 10 problems, maybe it takes you 20 minutes.
Okay.
After you get used to it, to get yourself used to what you're doing. Okay, well, 6 times -1 is -6. 9 times -1 is -9, but minus that is +9, and you know that. Okay? There's one more step. What haven't we done yet?
Add the denominator,
I'm sorry?
and add the denominator, and,
Actually, yeah. Okay, so we can add the denominator. We're going to get 25. I wasn't looking at the denominator, but yeah, we've got to do that.
then the 6 plus 17.
Very good. 6 plus 17i, right? Because the 12 and the -6 are like terms, you can add them.
Okay.
If it doesn't have an I on it, it's not a like term of something that does have an I on it, right?
Right.
And the things that have I's on it are like terms. Okay? So we have this. That's how you divide complex numbers.
Okay.
Okay?